Was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province. Was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
But they are needed to support Iraqi and Kurdish forces with training, intelligence, and equipment. Across the border in Syria, we have ramped up our military assistance to the Syrian opposition. Tonight, I call on Congress again to give us additional authorities and resources to train and equip these fighters, sending arms and assistance to Iraqi security forces and the Syrian opposition, sharing intelligence, and providing billions of dollars in humanitarian aid.
So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Egyptian lawyers have submitted a complaint to the International Criminal Court charging the President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama, with crimes against humanity. The complaint against President Obama. The complaint accused the president with being an accessory to the Muslim Brotherhood, which incited violence across Egypt earlier this year. The complaint mentions Obama and several Brotherhood members in name. It adds, quote, Obama cooperated, incited, and assisted the armed elements of the Muslim Brotherhood in the commission of crimes against humanity in the Arab Republic of Egypt.
His funding them monetarily, including with billions of dollars. And in fact, since this time, the plot is thickening, and we can talk about that later, but now there's even information that there's recordings of Morsi talking with Al-Qaeda, and somehow all this is involved with the U.S. and so forth. But back to this particular point, the Al-Qaeda thing is still developing. The main complaint is that he's an accessory in that by supporting the Brotherhood, he is supporting whatever they do. And so he gave a lot of money to them, which enabled them. Most people don't know that it's not so much that people love the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, but rather the Muslim Brotherhood pays and buys people off, including thugs who go around burning churches, who go around terrorizing just people like the Muslim Brotherhood and any other Safwat Higazi. These are names most people are not familiar with, but these are top Brotherhood leaders. They all came up and publicly condemned the Coptic Pope and the Coptic Church, saying that they played a great role in getting Morsi kicked out. And it's true, the Coptic Church, just like Al-Azhar and so many organizations, were supportive of the people's will and were supportive of the military's movement of getting rid of Morsi. But they were scapegoated because they're the other, they're the infidel, they're the non-Muslim, so they're an easy target. And the Brotherhood did this, and immediately, if you look at the International Criminal Court criteria of what is classified, there's maybe, I don't know, half a dozen or about a dozen categories: persecution of a minority, killing, torture, abduction, sexual abuse. And if you just look at the plight of the Copts since what happened to them, every single one of those categories is easily met. We know up to at least 80 or so churches, some very ancient, have been destroyed and burned and attacked, some transformed into mosques and so forth. And that's just, there's so much, people have been dislocated, kicked out of whole villages. They started, the Muslim Brotherhood and supporters were in Upper Egypt, in the remote areas, exacting jizya tax from Christians. Christians are being abducted, held hostage for money, and then sometimes given back, sometimes murdered, including children. And all this is being done in the context of widespread anger at Christians because of the ousting of the Muslim Brotherhood, which, of course, was supported by the Obama administration. And then one final important point is, speaking of money and Obama, so we know he was supportive by giving the Brotherhood money. But now that the Brotherhood has been ousted, what has he done? He's now withheld money from Egypt. And most certainly, it's ongoing, and it's just 85 churches. Imagine if 85 mosques were attacked, how this would be all over the media, and just all these politicians would be condemning it, chief among them Obama, and yet you get nothing but silence. That the Obama administration, has the back of the Muslim Brotherhood, to put it colloquially. And it's hard for Americans to comprehend this, because here, based on the so-called mainstream media, you don't know this. You have no idea. You can't begin to imagine that this is going on. So they are feeling it. They are experiencing the repercussions of the Obama administration's support for the Muslim Brotherhood.
Making is that the U.S. president has given himself the authority to execute anyone, anywhere, anytime, for any pretext, any bogus reason. Is that more of a problem to the world than Bashar al-Assad? Problem is in our own backyard, and we know this. We've got to take care of our dirty, filthy house of corruption. The United States Congress is nothing but a den of traitors, the most sycophantic, disgusting traitors you can imagine. And the White House has got a dictator. This is a problem. This is a major problem, much bigger problem than what's happening in Syria or Bashar al-Assad. Of course it is. It's much more of a problem that the President of the United States says he can execute anyone, anywhere, anytime. You know, the President of the United States, traitor that he is actually a constitutional lawyer. He's actually trained at the highest levels of university in constitutional law. Do you know how obscene it is that somebody who is trained in constitutional law giving himself the authority to execute anyone, anywhere, at any part of the planet with no jury, no trial, no conviction, no nothing? This man is a dictator who has assigned himself the right to execute anyone, including U.S. citizens. I am confident that at some point the American patriots, who seem to be in a bit of a coma and have been sleeping for a long time, are going to wake up soon and realize that while they took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, the President of the United States also took that oath and has breached it so badly that he should be arrested and charged with treason right now. And ultimately all of the sycophants in the U.S. Congress who passed things like the Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act, again, completely contrary to the U.S. Constitution, which is supposed to be the supreme law of the land. These people need to be arrested, and a government needs to be put in place that actually honors the U.S. Constitution. And I honestly believe that's going to happen. One way or the other, it's going to happen.